yeah, once again, I'm Joss, also known as Cpgeek, and today we're doing some home automation stuff. So last time around, I had all sorts of trouble getting these flashed, but it turns out, for anybody who was on the last stream, that I simply had a bad wire. I've never seen this before at all in my life. But apparently, when they were making the little jumper wires that came with my little TTL programmer, this guy here just plugs into USB and programs all the serial things. So this wire is totally legit and has wire coming out of this end, has wire coming out of this end. But when I went ahead to cut it and then strip it again, I realized that there was no wire inside of the wire. So about halfway down, there's no connecting wire. It had one job, to connect the things from one point to the other, and this being the red wire, just because I like to color code things so I can have quick access to things. This is what would drive the voltage, the actual power to power the microcontroller. So nothing was happening because it basically wasn't plugged in. If I knew where my multimeter was, which it is somewhere in this room, I really need to clean up, I would have been able to tell that immediately, but alas, I messed around with it for like, I don't know, how long was the last stream? Like 4 hours, give or take, plus the installation of a Home Assistant on a mini PC. So yeah, that was not a great time with getting this up and running, but yeah, it's easy now. Who knew? When you plug it in, it just works. So this is the same thing that I was holding up a moment ago, just with its case removed. I have another one here. I bought 12 of these guys, so I was able to successfully program 2 so far. I'm going to be programming more on this stream tonight. It only takes a couple minutes to make that part go, and I'll guide you through that process one more time. Yeah, this is the back side of the little device, and basically you have to connect little wires to the programmer points there, and it flashes the firmware. But before I get to that, I decided that the Home Assistant, the computer that I'm using for Home Assistant, which is a little mini PC that I have here, is actually going to be pretty useful. I used to use it as a router, so it was just a little piece of hardware that I had hanging around. It's incredibly low wattage, so very low power, and that really makes me happy, because I've been having all sorts of high power draw issues and very large electric bills. I posted about that on Wadi's Discord not long ago. It's been crazy. So I've turned off my Home Lab application server stack, my Proxmox cluster, until such time as I can figure out how to make that cost a little less and use a little less power. In the meantime, I'm actually going to be using this little box that I just set up for Home Assistant on the last stream to basically utilize all of the low power things, which is a lot of what that stack is doing anyway. Yeah. I decided to buy some additional memory for it, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade that tonight, and might as well go ahead and get started. Let's see what the other camera is singing. Chat. Best views already here. Oh, and incredibly... can't speak. Wow, that's trouble for streaming. Incredible Wadi redeeming the Get Corny hat. Yeah, I talked about that a little bit earlier. Let me see if I can fetch that here. It should be right over here. Where is the corn hat? Got lenses and all sorts of other things. Is it not where it goes? Dang it. I might not be able to redeem this one tonight. Huh. Where the heck did it go? It's like one of the 3 to 4 things that actually has a place in my lab, and it's missing. So I'm really sorry to disappoint, but I'm gonna have to give you those points back and do that next time. So yeah, I'm really sorry about that. It should be right there, but it is not right there. That is so strange. Well, I'm going to be tearing this place apart a little bit this weekend anyhow to try to resolve some of these spatial issues. So we might get to that sooner than later. But I am sorry about that. Let me see here. How do I... there it is. Reject and refund. So there's your points back, Waddy. I'm sorry about that. Oh, Mom's here. Hello, hello. My dear, may I suggest that you... How heartwarming. Looks like you're reaching deep into the ocean. Yeah. My arm is so long that I can totally reach the planet. Just looking over chat real quick. Looks like there's some greetings. Making sure I didn't miss anything major. Mom suggests less do and more sleep. Yeah, that's not how things get done, though. It's that is not at all how things get done. Or just giving another peek under the desk there to see if I could spot my cat. Anyway, I was switching cameras here, where I discovered the quest for getting corny. The camera is not working at the moment. Why is that? Okay, now it's working too good. It's all zoomed in and stuff. This way. And zoom. Focus. And where's my mouse? There it is. And there's my incredibly messy desk with my solder station all set up from doing this previously. Haven't really had time to sit at my desk since I did my last stream, beyond watching a couple of YouTube videos right after I got home. I've been at work today going crazy. I'm in the office for Thursdays and Fridays, Tuesdays and... Wow. Wednesdays and Thursdays this month, so I can take Fridays off. So I have an extra day to work on some stuff. So we'll do the soldering in a minute. Let's see. You can go ahead and pull up PC. I'll just go ahead and unplug it. We can go ahead and take a look at that. So this... Whoop. Come on, camera. There we go. So this is the mini PC I was talking about. It's completely fanless, and has a whole bunch of Ethernet that, in this particular context, we're not going to be using. These are 2.5 gig ports, though, which won't actually do anything because I only have 1 and 10 gigabit capable switches. So when I plug this in, it only gives me 1 gig, but 1 gig is plenty for our applications here. Has onboard video that's DisplayPort and HDMI. Again, if we're using this as a server, that won't be used. 12-volt input. That's for the power that I just unplugged. And on the other side, we've got a power button, a few USBs, and a spot for Wi-Fi that isn't populated. But I bought this for routing duty, and pfSense, which is my routing software of choice, doesn't require all that much memory or CPU power. So this is running a modern but very lightweight Celeron J processor. I think it's a 6000 series if I'm not mistaken. Very low end, but more than enough to do some light dirty virtual machine hosting. But it only has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is like double what I need for a router and like a quarter of what I would want for doing virtual machine hosting. So right now I only have one virtual machine on here. It's running Home Assistant. That part is actually working great, but it is low on RAM for running other things, which will come soon. So I went ahead and bought a memory upgrade. This is 64 gigabytes of memory, which maxes this guy out. And that will allow me to run way more things on this at any given time, so long as they're not CPU intensive. Because we only have 4 1.8 gigahertz cores on this. They're newer cores, so they're from the 11th generation Intel stuff. So they're relatively new, but they're basically all what would now be referred to as E-cores or efficiency cores. So let's go ahead and crack into this guy and see what we can do about upgrading it. I don't think that I've been in this machine before, so this will be a little new. So it looks like we're just using a Phillips screwdriver to pop 1, 2, 3, 4 screws out of here. Mom says she's feeling all hyped up tonight. Awesome, awesome. Suppose the music helps. So let me get these screws out of here. I don't think this should be too difficult to tear down. I just need to be careful about any sort of thermal compound. Because this thing is completely fanless, the thing on top is actually the heatsink for the CPU. It makes absolutely no noise. It's completely silent because there are no moving parts in this guy. There is room for a fan, but it's not populated and it's not needed. The reason I actually like this thing so much is because it's so low power. I think it maxes out at like 18 watts, which is about the same as like one of my really bright light bulbs that are in my ceiling array here. It's crazy efficient. How do I... Okay, all the screws are out. Oh, we have to remove the screws on the front and or back. Okay, that's easy enough. There aren't that many. And it looks like all the screws are the same, so. The design is pretty nice. Looks like there's just a plate on both sides that sort of slots into position, and this whole thing should slide apart, if I'm reading this thing correctly. Ordinarily, I would use my battery-powered screwdriver, but alas, I'm not quite certain where that is either. Oh, there we go. Alright, so it just pops right off. This is a grounding screw. It just, this entire enclosure, including this plate here, is all metal. So if you attach grounding to this, the entire thing is grounded, and that's kind of a cool design. So I've got the back plate off. I should be able to slide this just like a puzzle box. And what do you know? So, right now we're looking at 2 memory slots here and here. So we should be able to just pop out that stick and pop in the new one. This is the SSD. It's NVMe. So I bought both memory as well as a new SSD for this, but I feel kind of like the SSD that I got is super overkill for this application. So this is a high-end PCIe Gen 4 4TB drive. I got it on sale. Like, the sale was really good. It was basically in the mid $200 range, which sounds like a lot, but this is a really big drive at 4 terabytes. Most M.2 drives are in the around 2 terabyte range, which I should have gotten. I'm going to hold off on upgrading the SSD for now, and I might use this in another project that's coming up possibly this weekend. Right now, this is a 128 gigabyte NVMe drive, so I probably will swap that out reasonably shortly. But for now, I'm just going to leave that there. As far as this upgrade today, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. We just pop out the old memory module, which confirming this is a 8 gigabyte stick of PC421. Oh, sorry, it's 2666 at 1.2 volts. So set that aside for a moment, and we'll pop out our new RAM. This is some really easy stuff. Before I touch anything, I'm actually going to go ahead and ground myself on my my desk here. I know that the metal bits are actually grounded at the back, because I actually have a grounding strap back there. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop out one module, make sure that it's the correct voltage, 1.2 volts. Yep, standard DDR4. This stuff is Crucial, totally not sponsored, but if you're hearing me, Crucial, you know, you want to reach out and sponsor a project, could always use more RAM in my stuff. So just go ahead and slide that in. Slides in sideways, and then you pop it down, nice and easy. Again, slide this in here like that, and pop it down. So that should be the extent of the memory installation. Before I put the panel back on, I'm going to plug it in and just make sure that everything posts and shows up correctly. I've got this HDMI cable just hanging out here, so I'm going to plug that in. That'll give us video. And got the power here. And there's a keyboard. Keyboard will help get us into the BIOS, just so I can take a look at the memory configuration, just to make sure that all our RAM shows up. So I'll plug you in here. Computer apparently turns on automatically, maybe? No, that's just the standby light. All right, so I switched it on, and now we're going to come down to C. Sorry about that. I just realized that that I was muted there for a moment. I gave you the wrong screen. I gave you the raw output from this instead of my my OBS scene that I had set up, as you are here now. All right, so let's see if we can make this work. Power on. And we get 3 beeps, which I'm guessing is a memory error. Eric says that happened just as I saw lightning outside and my UPS chirped. Fun times. Alright, so memory is not working. Let's just go ahead and reseat this memory. pop it back out, pop it back in, see if we can't make things go. Not seeing any burn marks, no magic smoke, so that's all well and fine. I'm actually gonna just reverse the order of these. See what happens. Everything looks fine. Power in, power on. What do we get? I expect some memory training, but it should be pretty quick. Well, that's different at least. It's not beeping at me anymore. I'm not sure whether that's an improvement or not. I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds to see if there's any sort of memory training time that it needs. I've seen something by now. Just reinitializing the display here. Ah, it finally booted, so it was memory training, and I was right to just wait. There's the BIOS prompt, and there's the BIOS. And so we have total memory 65,536 megabytes. The words are hard and they have meaning. So it looks like all of our memory is showing up. Memory data rate is 3200, which I believe is what this is rated at. Yeah, looks like we got a memory speed upgrade while we're at it. I didn't even look to see what the speed was when I ordered this in. This DDR4 SODIMMs are incredibly inexpensive right now. I think that I paid maybe $100 for this maxed out upgrade. So this is as straight ballin' as this particular machine gets as far as RAM. If I popped in the 4TB SSD that I have around here, it would be as straight ballin' as you could do as far as the storage as well. But as I said, I am going to hold off on doing that today. But it looks like we have everything up and running. I'm going to go ahead and save and exit from the BIOS here. Make sure this thing boots completely, and then we'll put it back together, and that will more or less conclude our upgrade. I just told it to restart. You should see some Linuxy things scroll on by in just a minute. Boot option restoration. Interesting. What are we doing now? Okay, there we go. So right now it's booting Proxmox, which is the operating system. It is Linux based. And that's what I use for managing all the virtual machines. So plug in some Ethernet here to that first port. And looks like it comes up okay. I know that the text is really tiny. It just says eco login. Eco is what I named this guy because it's very economical in terms of power. And I'm just going to pull up the home system dashboard. ha.local. Refresh. Show that to you in just a couple of seconds. This is just a web browser on Firefox right now, and the old Proxmox dashboard. And it's not connecting. Why are you not connecting? Did I grab the wrong network cable in or something? No, that's the one that was plugged in before. We try unplugging, replugging. Why are you not responding? Isn't that always the way? Try another interface. No, I'm not even getting a link light out of this. What gives? Maybe because it wasn't plugged in when I booted the system. Shut her down and turn her back on again and see what happens. Just initiated a shutdown with the power button. Come on, shut down already. Okay, so it's shut down, but again, the little lights on the Ethernet interface are not lit up. They're on the top here. So let me turn this on, see if I get a link light this time around. This whole thing was working and online right before I pulled the plug and did the memory upgrade. I don't know why it would affect Ethernet ports. Hopefully we'll see in a second. Alright, so something happened, and my Ethernet ports are not working. Either that, or I might have yanked a cable too hard on the other side. I don't think so. I am going to take a quick look at the network switch, make sure that the cable is plugged in back there. Just a quick moment. Just going to toss up a BRB, shouldn't be any more than a minute. Alright, well, that didn't do anything for me. Do I have another cable at the ready that I can just plug in? I do. Okay. Hopefully this will be long enough. At least reach router, not the switch. No idea how long this cable is. Oh, 6 feet. That should be alright to reach the router. Put you in. Please tell us if there is a link to this jack. Might be with the cable just died. Oh. Well, I've got it plugged into the router now, and still no link light. Super strange. Did I kill my networking somehow? That would not be great. Okay, well, I guess let's unplug all the things. I don't know why RAM would cause networking not to work, but I'm just going to restore the original configuration for a sanity check. So I put the old RAM back, plugged it in, turned it on, and it's got a link light. I don't know if you can see that blinking, but it's blinking there. Alright, so I'm going to turn it off, unplug it, put the new RAM back in, and see if that link light goes away. These things should not be related to one another. That is the strangest thing. Okay, so there's one stick. There's 2 sticks. Everything looks proper. Go ahead and plug it in. Turn it on. Okay, the link light is there. I don't know why that would happen. Alright, so I'm going to unplug this network cable from the router. Plug in the original cable that I had in here before. I'm just going to unplug that completely for now. And I hate these stupid little tabs. There we go. Alright, so now we're turning the original Ethernet cable. Let's see here. Alright, plug you in. Same cable I had plugged in before, the green one. Plug you in. Okay, we've got power. Turn you on. Hello, Smithers. You are quite good at turning me on. Probably shouldn't see that. Alright, so let's pull up camera C, which is the computer here. Should get video output in a few moments. It might need to retrain its memory again. my link light went away too. Okay, I don't get a link light on this green cable. That's what it looks like. There we go. I do get a link light now. On that second interface. What the heck? Alright, now I have a link light. It's complaining about the memory that we swapped out, because it just did its retraining. But now it should boot normally into Proxmox, as we expect. Okay, the link lights work, so the cable is definitely connected, and things are good. And it's now booting into Proxmox. These are problems I simply didn't have yesterday. That shouldn't have anything to do with the memory upgrade. I don't understand why that would possibly be that way. And the link light's gone. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and log in as root. Preferably with the correct password. Go. IP A. Ping. Google.com. It definitely does not have network. Unplug it. Plug it back in. I think this might actually be a software related thing. It may have updated the driver software on these network interfaces. There was a issue with the chipset that these network interfaces used. But it's so darn weird. Because this was all just working earlier today. Messing around with it. Not the RAM, but the network stuff. Alright, let me see if I can get this fully booted up with the other RAM, just to see if that has something to do with it. Unplug this, unplug this. Because I know that the network interfaces seem to work on boot, but they turn themselves off when it gets into Proxmox. So I think it might be a software driver situation. I'm just sanity checking the whole situation here. Drop my power cord. Alright, so memory upgrades should be like immediate and easy once you realize that it detects all of the memory that you've actually installed. This should not be a hard thing at all. And here we are, now we're into stuff. Helps if I turn it on as well. All right. Powered on. Hopefully we should get something on screen in a second. Hello, computer. Just rebooted. Oh, there's the beep. Okay, so am I? And the link lights are back, where they were before I switched the camera over. Right. We've got AMI logo, we've got blinking lights, we've got always continue boot. Let's load up Proxmox. And if Proxmox loads properly but kills the Ethernet on the way up, then we know what happened. There's some sort of software problem that is causing the network interfaces not to work. And that is exactly what happened. So this has nothing to do with the memory upgrade. And I've got some debugging to do. But I think that I will end up doing that probably tomorrow. So I'm going to put the new RAM back in it, get it booted up one last time to make sure the RAM works, just like I was trying to do all along. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears and flash some of these sonoff plugs and show you how that's done. So let's unplug you. Take out the old RAM. Once again, install the new RAM. Which is not a difficult adventure. Didn't know my network was going to go weird. Okay, that's all set, installed properly. Let's boot it up. Make sure that we have the memory it says we do. And then we'll close this thing back up. And I'll worry about the software issues probably tomorrow. Oh, helps if I turn it on. Okay, powered on. It should do some memory training for a few seconds. Come on. The amount of memory does make a big difference as far as how long it takes to do the memory training routine. The more memory you have, the more memory it has to test. This is actually going to be something that's going to come up in a few days for me here. I'll do a little bit of a tease. I'm going to be rebuilding my workstation soon. My primary workstation, the one that is driving the stream, is going to be torn down and completely rebuilt. Today, in a bit of news, AMD just released the 9950 X processors. So the new Ryzen chips were released today, and they should be, pretty swell. I did look at the initial benchmarks, and things are looking pretty good. They're not that big of an uplift over the one generation previous, the 7000 series. I was a little on the disappointed side. It looks like we're booting here. But they are quite the upgrade over the 5950X, which is the generation before that that I'm running here in this machine, which is still not a bad machine by any means. But I could use a little bit of an edge. And it should be roughly half over again faster than the machine that I'm running here right now. So that should be a pretty big boost. That combined with moving from DDR4 memory to DDR5 memory, and a lot more of it, that's a whole other can of worms that I will definitely go over and stream when that happens. It's going to take some work just to get all that memory working on this new machine. It should be a pretty substantial upgrade. The motherboard, the processor, and the memory all have to be upgraded at once because the new processors require the new motherboard, and the new motherboard requires DDR5. But that's should be a pretty big boost overall. Alright, so networking still doesn't work. I'll fix that offline. That's got to be a software problem. For now, let's go ahead and just get this thing back together. Which way does this go? Oh, this way. There's a slot I'm trying to get. Oh, it was right the first time around. No. Why are you not going in? Oh, because it just sits on the bottom. Derp. Oh wow, man. Alright, so I'm gonna unplug all of these cables for now just so I can get the back cover on and all this stuff screwed down. What do I get for doing this stuff late at night? Alright, so there we go. Just like so. It also occurs to me I might have been using a different network interface port than I had been previously. So as soon as I get these screws in, I'm gonna go ahead and try to start it back up one more time and plug this into the place that I had it before. I do like this design. It's really nice for a fanless design because you don't have a whole lot of power going through the processor, being only, I think it's like a 10 watt TDP CPU. It just straight up doesn't generate all that much power. Even, just booting this thing, it really doesn't get that hot, especially compared to the mini PC that I'm using for my router now. So yeah, this thing straight up doesn't get hot, and what little power it does need to vent, it does so passively, which is really nice. I didn't take any of those screws out, so I'll just put these screws back. A 5-minute memory upgrade takes an hour because things don't go quite right. That would be the way. That's why these streams end up running long. Alright, last screw. And green network cable in port 0. Oh, let's flip this the right way around. Okay, green network cable in port 0. Power. Not even gonna bother plugging into the display at the moment. Okay, power and power button. Turn blue, turn blue. So I'm just monitoring the little lights on the bottom of the Ethernet port here. And it's doing absolutely nothing. Plug back in, power on. Let's plug the display back in and see what this thing is doing. Nothing so far. No beeps, which is kind of disconcerting, honestly. The light's on. More memory training issues? Of course, everything works fine until you turn a camera on it. Oh, sorry, I'm muted for a second. There we go. It went beep. I don't know if that actually comes across on the mic here. Alright, so we've got the link lights back. And it does this whole restoration memory thing, the memory training. Okay, got BIOS. Link lights are back. Starts Proxmox. And the link lights are gone. Oh, and it's back. And I bet it's also on the internet. I don't know why, because I didn't change anything this time. So fucking weird. Alright, so I'm going to plug in the keyboard. Keyboard. Let's plug it into the back of the system here. So, login is root. Password. name, ping google.com, and it's on the internet. I don't know why this works and why it didn't work a minute ago. I didn't change shit. I give up. But it works. Which also means that if we go back to my desktop view, so we can see my web browser here, and we go ahead and click try again, I would bet we get the interface. And we do. So this is the Proxmox login. This was all working the last stream I did, but might as well go ahead and log in here and show you guys what's going on. And make sure all the RAM shows up. Okay, so Eco is the name of the server, and here we've got our RAM, which is now 64 gigabytes. It's showing up as 62.65 because this thing has integrated graphics, so it takes a little bit of its memory away for that. I can actually change that in the BIOS, but neither here nor there. This is operating correctly. So it's a J6413. It's operating at 1.8 gigahertz. These are basically E-cores. This is a Celeron. Yeah, there are 4 of them. So yeah, so our Home Assistant virtual machine, our list of VMs is over here. There's only one on the system right now. So it's VM 2000, which is homeassistant.cpgeek.org. Home Assistant OS is currently using up 1.37 of an allocated 4 gigabytes of RAM. So we've got plenty of RAM to spare. In fact, looking at this, memory utilization is 5%. So I can throw a whole bunch more things on this with no problem at all. Home Assistant really doesn't take up that much CPU usage either. We are at about 2% on our 4 cores. And if I go to the web interface for Home Assistant, come on, yeah. All right, so I've got one smart plug, one of those S31s that I configured, flashed, and set up. So what that is plugged into is actually the power supply of this mini PC. So right now we are taking 13 watts. It just went down to 12. That is pretty much going to be the top end of what this thing does. I've had it up to 14 if the CPUs are really cranking. So this actually takes up less power than my router, which is pretty amazing. It should be able to run several virtual machines at the same time without really much of a fuss, so long as they're relatively low-end VMs. So my plan is to put things like the Cpgeek.org website on this, as well as any sort of home automation stuff, or anything that needs to stay up and on the internet all the time, anything that is mission critical. There's a few things like that. I might choose to throw transmission on this. Let's see, what else? There's a bunch of projects that are that kind of workload where it doesn't really take up too much CPU power, but I want it running all the time. This is basically just a few notches above a Raspberry Pi in terms of overall usefulness. So the router runs all the time, this will run all the time, and my NAS will run all the time. Those are really the only 3 pieces of equipment that are in the rack that absolutely have to stay up all the time, besides the switches, the networking equipment. So that should keep my energy costs down. Yeah, so this is Home Assistant. Right now it's really bare bones, but I only have one thing integrated, and that's that one plug that I managed to flash. Next we're going to flash a bunch more plugs and get this dashboard all kitted out here. You can have a whole bunch of things going on here. It also integrated my router, so it picks up my current upload and download speeds from my router just automatically over SMTP or SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. It has a nice little calendar thing that tells me what the time of day it is and what the weather is outside. This is not an external temperature sensor, that's coming soon. In fact, I have a box of those somewhere close by at hand. I'm not sure where it went though. I think that I'm going to save that for next time as far as getting those integrated. There it is. Camera plus A. So this is a box of smart thermohygrometers. So these are incredibly tiny little devices. They like palm-sized, really tiny. They're more or less indoor-outdoor. I wouldn't get them too wet, but like if I stick them up like under a windowsill or something, they should behave just fine. These run for years on a AAA battery. So they're easily replaceable. I could also, if I wanted to, replace this with a lithium polymer cell, but because they run for years on just a lithium battery here, there's no reason to mess around with that. And these are real-time temperature sensors, and they also do, that's a hygrometer, so it does how much water is in the air. So my plan is to stick these up all over my house. I have a ton of them. This is a 6-pack, and then I bought more to supplement that. I think it was another 4. So I think I have 10 of these sensors that I can stick up all over the place. One of them is going in my rack, one of them is going outside of my rack for ambient temperature, one of them in the lab, and all over the house, living room, bedroom, etc. And I'll be able to use Home Assistant to make decisions based on the temperature of things or how much wattage is being used on these smart plugs, etc. So this is a full interface for if this then that types of automations. I can implement motion sensors. I don't have any yet, but I can put in motion sensors. So like if somebody walks into a room, the light in the room could turn on. That's a very easy thing to do inside of Home Assistant. And I can also set that up for times of day as well. So if I want to set it up so that in the middle of the night, somebody walks into the room, it doesn't automatically turn on the light blinding somebody or something like that. Or I could use dimmable bulbs or multicolored bulbs for notifications. So if the temperature drops too much, my light bulbs could turn red, or all of those kinds of integrations. It is also set up to integrate with things that like thermostats. It can do energy tracking for solar panels. It can do energy tracking for non-solar panels. For example, if I come on over here to energy, alright, I'm going to have to do some reading on this, but this is mostly for solar and generating electricity, but I do believe that we can do fancy graphs. Oh, there we go, there's history. So I clicked on it, and if I show more history, it's telling me when it was turned on. So it was turned off during that period of time. And choose an entity. I can. It's 31. I can track power. There we go. So here it is. Watts is on this axis. So it tells me how much wattage it's taking up at the time of it being sampled. So when I first set these up, it would only sample every so often, and it was also off during this period. But I made it so that it samples a whole lot more. So here it was up to 14 watts. Here it was back down to 13 watts. And this is during our stream here, where I had the the computer offline and I was doing memory upgrades and things. So it basically shows me what the power utilization is over time. And I can do start date, end date, so I can say over a month how much power is being used, etc. And that's pretty awesome. This will also help me. I'm going to set all of these up on my servers downstairs, and it'll allow me to remotely reboot my servers as well in case they crash or I need to restart those by turning them off and on again. And yeah, I can set up all kinds of automations to do that. I can tie this into have a whole bunch of these fire tablets. So these were $25 on Woot a few weeks ago. So these are 7-inch tablets that I can basically run Home Assistant on, and it'll give me nice dashboards that I can post up all around the house for doing things like temperature and all that kind of stuff. So this is a very expansive system. It is not hard to use at all. Setting up these types of integrations is a matter of coming into the Home Assistant dashboard, right? You go settings, you go devices and services, and add integration, and you tell it what the company is that makes the thing that you want to integrate. These are some of the integrations that it found automatically. There's sun, that's the pretty what the sun is doing on the main menu that you saw. There's MQTT, which is the protocol that it uses to access the smart plugs. There's like a shopping list app. There's all sorts of integrations. But add integration, these are all the various companies that make different smart home things. Many of them like incredibly cheap. Like smart switches for the walls are like, I don't know, I think it was like $10 or something like that per switch plate or something like that. I can get these smart plugs that are integrated into regular wall plates for about that money too. You can get motion sensors for something like, I don't know, $5 that are all Wi-Fi or Zigbee connected, which is another wireless protocol. Doing actual automations is super easy too. So here we can just create automation, and we can start a new automation. So when to do this automation, so we can add a trigger when a device gets started or something, and then you can have it do, and then you add an action to what do you want it to do. So you can have it like flip a light on and off with a light switch, or send me a notification via any number of different notification means, be it text message, push message. It can pop up a message on my computer via push messaging. It can send me a Teams message or a Discord message or any number of things. Super useful. And yeah, you can just tie it all together. So Home Assistant is basically glue. It makes all of these tiny little internet connected devices that don't do anything on their own in terms of like what they can do, maybe switch a light on or off or whatever. But you integrate all of the things that you have into Home Assistant, and then you can use all of the sensors to make decisions about what to do. You can also integrate with things like Alexa and Google. I'm sorry if I set anybody's devices off just then. So you can do OK, wake word, turn the lights off here or there, and it'll integrate with Home Assistant to make those actions happen. Or if you push a button, you can have your Google Home or your Amazon device say something or order something or do something. All depends on what you want to do and what automations you want to set up. And you can get as complicated or as simple as when this happens, do this thing. So yeah, I saw a person who had the same smart plugs that I'm working with, and he set it up on his washer so that when the wattage goes under I think it was like 10 watts to turn off the smart plug so his washer didn't continuously use power when it's not in use. So that's kind of a cool idea. Anyway, I'm going to set this computer aside and get to work soldering up some more of these smart plugs now that the computer is working and it has its memory installed and everything is looking good here. So we'll go back to camera view. Put this computer over here on the floor. We'll eventually go into the rack. I want to get all of its upgrades up and running first. I'm gonna set this piece of memory into the case that the memory upgrades came in, just in case I need that. I'll stick that in my drawer. Alright, so we need soldering iron. Let's go ahead and plug this guy in. So theoretically, this job should not need solder, but I don't have little pogo pins for this yet. So I've been finding that soldering leads to this is the easiest method to get this done. I'll show you what I mean in just a few moments. I'll run through it completely. So again, I'm working with the Sonoff S31 plug. These run an ESP microcontroller, which is the basis of a lot of Internet of Things. It's got its own Wi-Fi. It's a really easy to integrate platform. So no glue on these guys at all. The method for getting this up and running is you pop off the end cap. So it just pops off. You can just pop it back on, no worries. So once the end cap is off, and there's the little button, it just pokes the button on the inside here. Once that's off, you slide off these two little side pieces. So these are real easy to get into. Once the side pieces are off, there are 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3. Bring that closer to the camera. So 1, 2, and 3. Throw my screwdriver on the floor. So we'll just go ahead and standard Phillips screwdriver, nothing special. These do go into plastic, and these are some pretty thick bosses. So it does take a little bit of effort to turn these out. I'm not going to take them all the way out. You can, and then you can just keep them separate. But I've found that keeping them in their in the faceplate is a good way to not have to track them down later on. So it's just an easy way to keep your screws where they belong. They are all the same size, so it's not a problem if you do remove them. Most of the guides that I've seen have you remove them, but I just like to keep them in there a little bit, and that will enable you to go ahead and pop this thing out. So I found that if you remove the screw up to the flush point of this upper panel, that should be enough to release the module here from its case. There we go, they're all above that thing there. So you just hold the bottom piece of the module. There's these 2 nice hold points here, and then you pull the plug. Come on. There we go. Just takes a little wiggling. Didn't do anything special, just pulled it apart. And here we've got the interface where stuff plugs in. Now on these, you don't have to, but I've been reaching in and just giving these a little squeeze so that they hold on to stuff a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with the way that they come. They're perfectly fine. But I like them to be just a little tighter than usual, so they're a little bit more grippy on the things that you plug into them, especially when they're new. I'm not going to sweat it if they start widening a little bit with repeated insertions, but just a little something that I do. Now, on the side here with the microcontroller and the button, there are these solder pads right there. In fact, let me punch in here, show you what I'm talking about. Focus. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. So we've got these solder pads across the top, and pretty standard. I could use overboard little clips, which I do have some on order. I just don't own any right this second. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to be soldering directly to these. In fact, I'm going to set this one aside. And what I had done previously, I started one of these already. It's the one I was holding before. Same thing. I put little balls of solder. Yeah, you can see that. I put little balls of solder on the pads that I'm actually going to be using. I basically soldered them in, just a quick point solder. I just barely touched it, added a tiny bit of solder, and that was it. So I pre-tinned these pads. These are not cold joints. They are just nice soldered balls, and they're just about perfect as far as the way that this is set up. Try to get a little bit better focus. There we go. So you can see the little balls of solder that are soldered directly to the 3 pads on the left and the single pad all the way to the right here in this view. And those are what we're working with. They are labeled. You can't see them on camera very well. I mean, if you really punch in, you probably could. But I had been using a jeweler's loop in order to read these. I know where they are now, just because I've done 2 of them already. So this one on the end here is VCC. That's the voltage input. We've got the receive and transmit, these 2 in the right here in this grouping, and then ground is the one on the very end here. So let's go ahead and hook up some leads and get that going. There we go. So I'm just using the same leads that I have been using over and over again, but not the one that's defective. So here are the leads that I soldered to my TTL adapter. This is a serial programmer. These are like $10 on Amazon. You do need to make sure that you're using one with 3.3 volts output, not 5 volts. If you send an ESP microcontroller 5 volts, you will fry it. It uses 3.3 volt logic. So this is a little switch, 5 volts, 3.3 volts. Just make sure that's in the correct position, or whatever TTL programmer that you're using, make sure that it outputs 3.3 volts. Sometimes on some TTL programmers, you'll have both 3.3 and 5 volts pins on the interface part. I don't like those because it's really easy to mess that up. I'll probably bend the 5 volts out of the way or something like that. Just to let you know, this doesn't do that. It just has VCC, ground, transmit, receive, reset, and clock. The last 2 are not used for our purposes here in flashing right now. So you're supposed to be able to use these guys, which are just DuPont connectors. These came pre-terminated with DuPont connectors, but in my diagnosis of the cable issue that I had on the last stream, I decided just to cut off the DuPont connectors and directly solder to the underside of the pins where they're supposed to connect. So right now I have receive, transmit, and ground connected. And when I realized that I had that issue, I just went ahead and took this green cable, flipped off the DuPont, stripped the end, tinned it, and we'll use the DuPont connector on the VCC side of things. That actually makes life a little bit easier because I can unplug and plug this in without having to mess around with soldering stuff. You'll see that in just a moment. So I'll go ahead and start with this this green wire, which will be our VCC. I do usually like to color code things, but the red wire that I have here, the wire is physically defective. It does not have a conductor in some of it, which was crazy the last time I tried this. Anyway, let's move the flammable objects away from the heat-generating soldering iron before I switch it on. So this is a Pine-Sol. It's a really inexpensive tool, really nice. Great temperature control, nice fine tip comes with it. So this is like 25 bucks, not terribly expensive at all, and real nice. So first, I'm just going to make sure that the end is properly tinned, and it is still. So we're going to go ahead and turn this so we can see our pads here. Just leave it like that. Wish I had some helping hands. I don't have anything that big. I suppose I could use a clamp, but I'm not going to. Also, the Pine-Sol heats up super fast. So right now we're at 29 degrees, which is ambient. If I push the heating button, which is the plus button right now, it heats up really quick using this 15 volt USB-C connector. And we are now nearing the 270, 280, 290. I think I set it for 350. That's usually sort of the sweet spot of where I normally solder. And there it is, 350. And yep, it's just going back and forth over and over on that 350 mark. So this thing heats up super fast, real easy to use, and yeah, I really like it. It was a really good investment. So this pin on the very end here is VCC. Let me zoom in just a bit. I'm probably not going to be able to see the whole soldering action, but I'll see what I can do here about getting you at least a decent-ish view, maybe. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see too much there. So I'm going to put that there. There we go. Just took a touch. Light touch. That's all you need. Soldered up. It's good to go. Now, 3 more to go. And I'm just looking at the tinning on this to see if everything is good there. Make sure there's enough solder on the end of these wires. There appears to be so. So black is ground, which is on the very end. So wire on top of our solder ball. Quick touch, and ground is connected. And now for a transmit and receive. I'm not quite certain which is which. The blue is our transmit, and purple is our receive. So those are actually crossed over. So you need to transmit to the receiver and receive what the other thing is transmitting. So with the blue plugged into transmit, I need to plug blue into the receive line on our device, which is right next to the ground. So I'll separate that just a bit. So put that right on top of where I want to solder, just the very end of that wire. Hold that steady. Put that out from underneath the ground. Alright. Here's receive. There's transmit. Now I'm just going to give these the quick yank test. Alright, one of them fell off. Not a problem. Easily fixable. I just pulled it away too quickly. Now this pencil also has a motion detector in it, so when I put it down for any longer than a couple of seconds, it'll actually switch it off for me, saving power, and also making it so that it's less likely to burn things, so it's safer. Alright, so I've got everything in there. It's all connected. I've got my VCC, my transmit, my receive, and my ground. Now I'm going to double check to make sure that I'm not bridging any of those connections with wire or solder or anything like that. So I'm just gonna toss on my jeweler's loop and look like a super cool guy for a couple minutes. And let me just hold this up. Sorry you guys aren't gonna be able to see that, but focus range on this is not that great. And TX, RX, ground. And VCC. Okay. So looks good. So now that we've got our USB all wired up, our USB serial programmer wired up, I'm going to take the extension cable that I have plugged into my computer. This is just a normal USB extension. Just happens to have a little support thingy at the end of it. It was originally designed for like mouse dongles and stuff. It probably came with like a mouse or a keyboard or something somewhere along the line. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into here, which is already plugged into my computer. Get that in a way that I can plug that in. Now you'll note that I did not plug in my DuPont connector for power, so I don't want this powered up right now. So I'm going to plug that in, and you see the serial programmer flash for a couple of seconds. You see the little light on that indicating that it is powered on currently. But this is not powered on because we don't have power going to it right now, which is exactly where we want to be. So in order to program these, we need to hold down the power button while powering it on. That's how it knows to go into programmer mode. So we're going to hold down the power button whilst plugging in this DuPont connector to the VCC output. And it'll blink and reconnect. So it blinked, it reconnected, and we get a little blue light. So I think what that means is that I did not hold down the power button enough when I first started this on, because I don't believe that those blinky blue button should be on. So I'm going to unplug it, hold down the power button, right like that. My thumb is currently pressing that button. And now plug in the DuPont connector again. And it's plugged in, it's powered on, and I'm still holding the button. I'm going to let go. I think it's about 5 seconds that you need to hold the button when you first power it on. And now you'll note that these lights are not on. That means that we're in programmer mode. So we now have the smart plug connected to the computer. Of special note, never plug a smart plug into power, like line power, while you're doing this. The ground pin is connected to live, and you will destroy your computer. You could electrocute yourself very easily. Just don't do it. If these are open, you should not be plugging them into any sort of power other than the 3.3 volts coming out of this serial programmer. You could shock the crap out of yourself and die. Please do not do that. Okay. So now that that's set, I'm going to open the Tasmota website. Let me pop that open in advance before I bring it over. Alright. So this is just Edge. I'm using Edge because it has serial programmer functionality that is secured in Firefox. So Firefox is a little too secure to be able to manage this flashing functionality. So if I go to Tasmota, and flasher. So we go to the install Pasmoda page from pasmoda.github.io. And here we have the install Pasmoda page. It says connect the ESP device to your computer. That's the microcontroller that's in these things, using a USB or serial to USB adapter, which is what we're using. Select your firmware variant suitable for your device. In this case, Pasmoda English is what we're actually Pasmoda 4 meg for English on these S21 plugs. And then hit the install button and select the correct port. So we're going to go ahead and click on connect. And up in the corner here, it's asking me to select the USB serial COM port. I only have one connected here on my desktop. You might see multiples of these if you try to do it yourself. You just got to select the last one typically that's plugged in here. And that should do you. So I'm going to go ahead and click connect. And we see this connecting thing here. And we're going to go ahead and install Pasmoda for 4 meg flash. I'm going to get ready to switch to my camera view so you guys can see along what this thing is doing and looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and install Pasmoda. I'm going to erase the device and click next. And saying, are you sure you want to do this? It will be erased. So I already have a backup copy that I took using Tasmatizer, which is another piece of software that you can download to install Pasmoda. I like this web flasher, just it makes life easy, but both will work just fine. So I know that I'm cool with erasing this. I can put the stock firmware back on this, no problem. So I'm going to click install, and it's saying preparing installation. I'm going to come on over here, and here we have blink, blink, blink. Oh, and it failed to initialize. So that usually means that there's a hardware problem that I messed up somehow. I'm just looking over these connections real quick. I think that there's any problems. Pretty sure I'm in programmer mode. I'm gonna verify that I plugged in the transmit and receive lines the right way around. It's usually where I go wrong. Oh, knocked that off the table. It's on my knee, it's fine, it's just out of frame. This extension cable is not very extendy. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit more extended by plugging it into a USB hub that's closer. Make my life a little easier. It's on my hub now. But let's go ahead and just unplug this from the computer and take a look here. Okay, so we've got blue on receive, and blue goes to transmit, and purple goes to receive on the TTL flasher, and purple goes to transmit. That should be just fine. It's definitely getting power because the light blinks. Ground works because the light blinks. So there has to be an issue with the connection of the transmit-receive lines. Possible that my solder job on the TTL controller got flaky over time. That's in there. Might have been bridging, just separating these out a little bit more. Make sure that I didn't mess anything up. Okay, I'm going to give this another shot. So, without the VCC being plugged in, I'm going to go ahead and connect this to my computer again. Okay, we've got power on the TTL. So I'm going to hold down the power button on the plug here, and then plug our power in. Okay, it reconnected. 3, 4, 5, so I'll let this go. Alright, so I'm going to come back to the computer here. We're going to install Pasmoda, erase device, next, install, build to initialize. Okay. Oh, serial port is not ready. Alright, so we need to connect again. Connect, paired, connect, connecting. Okay, install, erase, next, install. Build to initialize. So the ones that I did that worked were using my laptop. Not try it with this machine. I don't know why it would make a difference, but I'm going to bring up Tasmatizer. 1 second. So this is the other piece of software that I was talking about previously. Run as administrator, just for good measure. This is harder to see, I am sorry about that. But this is Tasmatizer, this window here. So it says select the COM port, so I'll go ahead and refresh, select COM3. This allows you to back up so you can save the original firmware file. Like I said, I have already done that, so I'm not going to bother doing that. The flash size, we'll just do release. So this is 14.2.0, and we're going to go with the 4 megabyte version, and we're going to erase before flashing. And yeah, this is teeny tiny, and I'm sorry about that, but let's go ahead and give this a shot. So download. Not open port COM3, access is denied. Okay. So that probably means that this software is still occupying the port. So let me slide that away. Close out of this. Close out of this. Okay. So let's try again. Blinky, blinky, blink. Blinky, blinky, blink. And it isn't going to work. It isn't going to work because I am on camera. Weird things just happen on stream. Yeah, it's trying to transmit, but it's not getting anything back in return. So again, that has to be a hardware fault somewhere. Alright, so let's unplug you. Well, it's not ground this time, and it's not VCC this time, because we know that the blinking lights work when it's not in programmer mode. So that means I need to go through and resolder the leads for transmit and receive. And let's see. Sorry, I'm going to be more or less in the way. It's hard to shoot this. Oh, I also need to keep my iron back up. Oh, there it is. It's possible that I had a cold joint or a bridge. I'm just reflowing my connections for transmit and receive. And you know what? I'll do that on the other side too, just in case. May not have had a whole lot of care on this side. Just accidentally desoldered the lead here. Not a big problem, but I might have to re-tin it. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and re-tin it with a little bit of solder. Where is my solder? Oh, there it is. Okay. Just a little tiny bit on the end. A little dab will do ya. Just like the Brill creams. Alright. Oh, well, no, that's a solder bridge. A little solder away. Okay, which? Just the next one. Okay. Just trying to get this in position. Soldering. Hmm. Doesn't want to. Difficult to try to line this up. Keeps wanting to move around on me. Hmm. think I got it. So annoying. The actual pins on the opposite side act as a heat sink, so you need a lot more heat for working on connecting these particular pins. I think I got it though. Alright. Once again, let's go ahead and plug this into our USB port. We've got that. Take our VCC, hold down the button, plug that in. Been about 5 seconds. So let that go. Now we come back to our computer. Fresh. COM3. Go. Blink, 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 and nothing. Yeah, this isn't doing a darn thing. Timed out while waiting for packet. Okay. So this is the same crap that it was giving me yesterday. I still have yet to been successful in flashing with this computer. I'm going to give it one more shot. Make sure that lights flash still. Yep. Okay, so it's getting the appropriate signal, getting the appropriate power. So the only things that could be messed up are drivers on my PC. That's a possibility. My solder job here, because I do suck at solder. Like, I'm not the best with these. These are very hacky solder jobs. I would not put this into production on like high voltage stuff. Alright, so let me hold this up to the light. Make sure I don't have any bridges or silly things going on. Oh, might. Dang it. A little bit of conductive wire touching an adjacent end. Super annoying. Alright. I'm going to cut that off, retin it. I think that's what happened is I have a solder bridge. Or in this case, a wire bridge to the next terminal. Oh. Well, I mean, I have a bunch of these. Okay. Let's change tack. So I need 3 of them. And I've got 3 of them. So I'm gonna unsolder all of these from the bottom of the FTL programmer. This is how I was using it yesterday, successfully, but in this instance, it is unnecessary for me to continue doing so. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have any solder bridges on that interface. Just removing a little bit of extra solder. Okay. No bridges, everything is good. Alright, so let's just use these top terminals the way that they're supposed to be used. So I'm going to go ahead and desolder these. Solder ground. I'm going to leave VCC attached. Alright, so I'm going to set these putt leads aside. And I'm going to use these leads that have the DuPont connectors on them. Make sure I didn't bridge anything while I was doing that. Oh. Okay, I found out what my error was. Alright. So, these pads, I put solder balls in the wrong pads. So there's DTX and DRX that are not used for this process. Those are the ones next to the ground. It's the RX and TX next to the VCC that I need. And I just had to use my lenses here in order to read the teeny tiny frickin' print that they used for that documentation. So yes, it was the transmit and receive lines that I got wrong. However, it was not in the way that I thought I got it wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the solder ball that I have here. I'm actually just going to use a little bit of solder wick. And, remove the solder from two sections here that don't need solder. Try not to damage the pads here, overheat anything, like my thumb. I'm going to leave those alone. Add new solder balls to the pads that I actually need. Okay, so I've got my solder balls in place. This is tinned. I'm going to cut this. These will be my transmit and receive lines. So I cut the DuPont connectors from one side, and I will strip these, my wire strippers, without the gummy bear. Okay, we've got stripped wire. I'm going to cut off the excess of that. My strippers have a minimum strip distance. I only need about half of what they give me. Okay. I'm going to twist the ends here so that they don't go fraying on me when I try to make my connections. Okay, and then I'll tin those. Put that down on the table here. I don't care at all about my table. This is an ancient work table. So don't mind if it gets some solder burns. And that's one tinned. Okay, those wires are tinned. This wire is tinned. Don't need all of this. Okay, our VCC is already connected. Just need a ground. A little more solder on that. Okay, ground is connected. Oop. Nope. Popped right off. Oh, This is frustrating sometimes. It should be a really easy solder job. Ground is soldered. Ground always takes a lot more work to solder down because it takes a lot more heat as the entire circuit board is connected to it. Okay, now transmit receive. Okay. Orange is transmit, yellow is receive. So orange goes to receive. Yellow goes to transmit. Come on, DuPont connectors, get on there. Okay. And then white is ground. And then again, VCC will be disconnected for now. This should just work now that I have all of the correct speeds going to the correct places. That was a rookie error to make. Alright, so we'll plug in. Okay. Programmer is active. I'm going to hold down the button while plugging in the power DuPont. Okay, we're plugged in. Still holding the button. Letting the button go. Alright, so this should be in programmer mode. And I'm actually going to open up the Flasher website again. Try what we were trying before. So we'll go to Moto Flasher web installer. Alright, so same site as Moda, 4 meg, connect, COM3, connect, installed Moda for 4 meg flash, erase device, next, and install. Coming back over here, you'll note that we have both send and receive Our receive is now blinky blinky, and it's actually transferring the firmware. So on my screen here, get 28%, 31%. It's actually a pretty fast install setup. So this is in fact installing the firmware. Now, when this is complete, which will take just a few seconds, I will go ahead and restart it, and it restarts as a Wi-Fi base station. So you'll be able to log into it. I would just use my phone. You'll open up the base station, and it will automatically, where most things would have you log in, it will open a web page automatically with the configuration dialog. There's actually a web configuration for setting up its name, for setting up its MQTT server information, and for setting up the Wi-Fi that you're connecting it to. So it's all done. Installation complete. Yay! Everything works. Woo! So this is all done, and from here I can simply desolder the wires, making sure that all of the solder globs and whatnot are off, and move on to the next one. And I have 12 of these total to do, and this is number 3. So, good times. For now, I'm not going to bother configuring them tonight. I am just going to go ahead and desolder and move on to the next one, and move on to the next one. And in about half an hour or so, I think I'm going to call it quits for now, and we will pick up on this on the next stream. So for now, let's just go ahead and desolder these wires that we connected. Whoop, let me unplug this from the computer first so I don't screw something up. So this works way better now that I can just use these DuPont connectors as intended on the TTL flasher. I wish that I had some sort of a jig to hold these wires in the correct place so I didn't have to solder them in, but it's not that big of a deal. This is a pretty light solder job here. I may have just damaged one of my pads. I will take a look, magnifier. Nope, I did not damage a pad. Totally fine. But I am going to go ahead and remove some of the solder with my wick. Cut the used part off. I'm just cleaning this up a little bit, removing the excess solder. Alright, once again, I'm going to check to make sure I didn't bridge anything. Nope, everything is good. Okay. Now I'm going to put this back in its case, plug it into mains power, and verify that it works as intended. But it's got the Tasmoda firmware, and everything is good. So once again, I did not remove all the screws fully, so I'm just going to go ahead and shove this in the only orientation that it goes in. Push down a little bit, make sure everything is in its home, and drive these screws back together. And apparently one of the screws came free in all of this messing around. That's fine. I only need really the 2 screws to hold it together properly. Alright, so I can put on the end cap here. Oh, wait, before the end cap, I forgot the side pieces. Cover up the screws. There we go. Okay, now I can put the end cap back on. There we go. One smart plug, ready to roll. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in. Alright, it is plugged in. And break out my phone here. And I'm going to go to my list of wireless access points. No, not automatic update. Okay. Wi-Fi. And there it is, Tasmoda 587308. So it shows up, and if I touch it, it will connect. It's an unsecured network, and I'll just give it a minute. It'll say no internet connection, but it'll bring up this login page automatically. And there's the Tasmoda web interface. So I can tell it what network to connect to, what my Wi-Fi password is, and then set up the other options. And then it's totally web-driven from that point. There's no cloud, no nothing. You just log into the device directly. I can configure a username and password so that other people can't mess around with the configuration here. And that's pretty much it. Integrate it with Home Assistant, and that happens pretty much automatically. So that smart plug is done. I'm going to set that aside and grab the next one. That's the one that we just took out of the box at the beginning of the stream here. And from here, let's go ahead and add some solder. This should go really quick like from here on out. So all I need to do is add our little solder balls. excuse me, VCC, RX, TX, and then ground at the very bottom. So it's the top row that I need, not the bottom row. Oop. I unplugged my soldering iron to test the smart plug that we used a second ago. There we go. Soldering iron is plugged back in. Get that up to temp. Only takes a couple seconds. 100, 200, 300. Come on, 300. 50. Okay. So let's put our solder balls on. I'm actually just going to use the magnifier. There we go. All right. So, for the camera's sake, focus. Okay, so I put solder balls on the VCC, which is the top, RX, TX, and ground on the bottom. Hey, Mr. Darkstorm, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Right now, we're just modifying some Sonoff S31 smart plugs and getting them flashed to use Tasmota, which is a pretty cool open source firmware for these types of ESP chips, so that we can then integrate these into Home Assistant without the need for the Sonoff Cloud application. So I just put a little dab of solder on all the pads here, just checking my work, and now I can go ahead and solder up my USB TTL programmer. So let's start with VCC. Okay. And RX, which is TX, which is yellow. Okay. The TX, orange. And then ground, which is white in my case. Didn't have any more black wire. Okay, so we've got all of our leads soldered up to the pads. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug the VCC from the TTL programmer. Doink. That just makes it so that our microcontroller does not get power when we don't want it to. And I'll plug our TTL programmer into my computer here via this USB extension cable. Okay, now I'll hold down the power button, which will put it into programming mode while I'm plugging this in. Okay, keep it held down for about 5 seconds. Then we can let go. Right, now I'm going to come on over here to the Tasmota website, just like we did before, and we'll click Next, and we'll install Tasmota for Formac Flash. We're going to erase the device and click Next. All data will be erased. I already have a backup, so I'm going to click Install. Failed to initialize. Oh, we need to reconnect because I unplugged the terminal. That makes sense. So connect. On 3, connect. Connecting. Flash. Erase. Next. Install. Preparing. Erasing. Cool, so it's actually doing its thing, and we come on over here to the TTL programmer. You'll notice that it's both sending and receiving data. A little green light here, and a little red light there. So it's transmitting and receiving. You can barely make out the blink of the little green light here. But it's definitely doing its job, and we see a progress indicator that's doing its thing. Almost done. Installation complete. Sweet. All right, so from here, just as before, we'll just go ahead and unsolder the connectors that we had soldered in up. Don't want to forget to unplug this before I start soldering and desoldering here. Don't need my computer crashing in the stream. Alright, so ground, PX, RX, VCC. That's all disconnected now, and I'm just going to go ahead and use a bit of solder braid, clean this up a little bit, get rid of the extra solder that we have here. Isn't too much, just a little bit of those solder balls. Holding this thing still is probably the hardest part of this procedure. If the plug likes to wiggle free, it's not in a state that won't wiggle away from you. All right, last one. Also trying not to burn my hands. There we go. All the pads are either clean or close enough. No bridges. And I can see that with my naked eye. Cool. So that is another of these Sonoff S31 smart plugs that have been properly flashed with Tasmota. So once again, just pop this back in its enclosure and screw down these screws that I left in the case. And that's a whole 4-pack of Tasmota smart plugs that I've been, Sonoff smart plugs that I've been managed to flash. So I have 2 more 4-packs that I need to go ahead and flash. I'm not going to do that on this stream. I'll wait until next stream because it is now 1 a.m. and I have work in 8 hours, so I need to get some sleep. I also probably eat again, maybe. But those screws have been secured, so we'll go ahead and put these guys back in. These just cover up the screws, make things pretty. So there's one of them, and where's the other one? There it is. Okay. Now we pop the cover back on that, which I think popped onto the floor when I popped it off. Let me take a quick peek around my area here. My workspace is a big mess right now. Big mess. Where did you manage to go? Oh, that's one of my spudgers. Well, you know, it'll definitely turn up when I do my cleaning this weekend. It's not lost. It's just somewhere on my floor, on my workspace. I don't actually need to press that button. One of the cool things about these is that they remote switch, as well as do energy monitoring. So, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at that, and just make a note to myself to find the cover for that. Not a problem. But yeah, we can flash up one of these Tasmota, one of these Sonoff smart plugs to Tasmota real quick like now, and things are looking real good on that front. So I've got 4 of them that work. 3 of them need to be programmed, so I need to put them in AP mode and get the just basically give them names and tell them where the MQTT server is on my network. Which is super easy. You type in the MQTT host name, you type in a name for it, and it does the thing. Oh, hey Mom, I didn't think you were still around. But yes, progress is good. And yeah, this flashing goes super quick now, so that shouldn't be an issue. I should be able to flash up the 8 of them that remain on the next stream. And we got our memory upgrade on the Proxmox server, the Eco Proxmox server, up and running. I will probably end up either using the 4 terabyte disk that I bought, or I might actually just buy a 2 terabyte one and stick the 4 terabyte disk in my workstation build, which will be coming soon. So that's pretty much it for today. Once again, I'm Josh, also known as Cpgeek, Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Incredible Lottie, for the raid earlier. That's awesome. I need to remember to track down my corn hat. So you're a flasher in your spare time? No, I don't. No. Consent is important. Anyway. So next time around, like I said, we're going to flash us the rest of these Sunoff S31s now that I can, crank those out pretty quick. It's basically 3 screws, soldering up 4 wire real quick, running the web software to flash it, and then desoldering it and removing the solder, screwing it back together, and that's pretty much it. So I bet I can be down to roughly 5-6 minutes on each one, I think. So not bad overall. On one of the next upcoming streams, I don't know how quickly I'm going to get the new hardware, but I did talk on the previous stream, on Lottie's stream that I attended, about doing a workstation rebuild. That is actually going to be kind of a slow and drawn-out process. I'm not going to be directly installing any new components into this box that's running the stream until the new hardware is totally burned in this time. I'm going to set it up in another case with a different power supply and different storage, and it's going to take some experimentation to get memory working on it correctly, completely. So I don't want to give up the workstation that I have in order to do just a straight upgrade this time around. And there's no reason for me to do that this time around because I have enough hardware to keep both machines online simultaneously. So that's going to be cool. I will walk through all of those parts and choices and whatnot on the next stream, so that's coming soon. But for today, we need to find somewhere to raid. Let's see who is online. Which is always so slow to load Firefox. Hey, what do you know? Some guy named Cpgeek is streaming right now. Seems pretty cool. Well, I usually go to either Kitten Clubhouse or MakerDeck because Kitten Clubhouse is in New Zealand, and Chloe has some new kitties that she is currently working with on getting healthy and properly set up. I think that we will raid on over to Kitten Clubhouse. And the kitties are very playful right now, it seems. That'll be a cool move. Everybody can chill out and we can watch some adorable kitties. And make sure to let her know where you're coming from. And if you have a few spare bits, go ahead and either drop a ball or go ahead and donate to Chloe's needs here, as she basically brings in a bunch of cats that are stray, goes ahead and corrects any health problems that they have. And gets them desexed and ready to go to their forever homes. So that's a really cool thing that she's after. She's a cat foster mom, and we'll see some cute kitties in just a few moments. Mom says, I drop a ball for the fun of it. Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to watch them chase around, have some treats. So let's go ahead and start that raid. Search. Great. We will go ahead and start that raid. We're in a countdown now, and we'll raid on over. So thank you for tuning in, and everybody have a great night.